Rome faced the greatest threat. Murderous, corrupt, dripping with wealth, and the ability to make or break an emperor. We're talking the Praetorian Guard. As Republic turned Empire, Augustus was certain that Rome's ruler needed the finest possible protection. An elite guard was formed, robustly trained, and paid better than any legionnaire in the world. Yet as the decades passed, even emperors came to fear a prestigious unit sworn to protect them. Welcome to History on Fleek. Today we look at the most elite unit of the Roman military, the Praetorian Guard. Forming the most elite unit of ancient Rome came with specialist criteria. The Praetorian Guard recruitment initially sought young men only from the Etruria, Latium, and Umbria regions of Italy. Unlike Legionnaire's conscription, Praetorian Guard conscription started considerably early at 15 years old. Geography and birthplace were not the only conditions. A young Roman from central Italy also required top physical conditioning, a noteworthy family, and commendable moral character. It was not uncommon for Praetorian aspiring young men to acquire recommendation letters from whichever nobility they could muster. If you came through the selection process, training for the Praetorian Guard was notoriously difficult. The Praetorian Guard training had been noted as markedly harder than legionary training. As a bodyguard unit and potential military reserve force, the Praetorian Guard was trained in a range of weapons and equipment to cover any eventuality. The elite Emperor Bodyguard unit had its own special insignia and assignment equipment. Their helmets were taller than the standard Roman Galea. Their shields were notably oval compared to the famed rectangular shields from faded Roman imagery. One could spot a Praetorian Guard shield from a distance, not just for its unique shape, but for it being riddled with insignia. The imagery included tributes to the god Jupiter in the form of wings and thunderbolts. Specific to this fabled unit, they also had moon crescents, stars, and scorpions displayed on their shields. As military reserve, Praetorian Guard used equipment similar to the legionary infantry: armor, chainmail, heavy javelins, and squared, colorful shields. However, as escorts to the emperor, Praetorian Guard were equipped with their oval shields and lances. It should also be mentioned that as soldiers were forbidden from bearing arms in the capital, the guard would be adorned in togas within the city. As the decades passed and the emperors fell, many would learn that looks can be deceiving. If you found yourself lucky enough to be recruited to the Praetorian Guard, the benefits were considerable. During a mandatory service of 12 years, Praetorian Guard members were paid considerably more than any other Roman soldier. Under Emperor Nero, the Praetorian Guard earned more than 3 times a Roman legionary. Yet over 3 times the pay wasn't the only financial benefit. Being personal guards to the emperor came with personal benefits. Donativum was a financial gift given solely to the Praetorian Guard as special anniversaries for the emperor or the empire, namely births, marriages, and birthdays. This was no gift card offering. Donativum was typically a sum equivalent to years' worth of pay for a guard member. In the days of the Roman Republic, Praetorian Guard would be used by the highest military figures for protection. The vision of more than a small escort didn't come to fruition till the birth of the Roman Empire. In 27 BCE, Augustus, as Rome's first emperor, established a permanent bodyguard for the emperor personally. This wasn't just a small band of troops, though. Augustus assigned a 9-part force of around 4,500 men. I'd love to call paranoia, but this being ancient Rome, the backstabbing world championships, Augustus was clearly a believer in the instate of bodyguarding the emperor and royal family. His developments to the Praetorian Guard were significant. Starting in 2 BCE, prefects to the Praetorian Guard were established. Prefects to the Praetorian Guard were some of the most powerful men in the whole of Rome. Not only could they carry swords in the presence of the emperor, but they were also granted membership in his advisory council. The prefects stood to influence matters beyond the emperor, including military, financial, and even judicial matters. Despite the growing power of the unit, Emperor Constantine would actually up the number of prefects from 2 to 5 during his reign. Though predominantly stationed in the city of Rome outside the emperor's palace, the Praetorian Guard was used to quell uprisings under quite telling circumstances. The extensive pay, tribute, and privileges of the Guard had made the rounds across the Roman Empire. In 14 AD, the empire faced mutinies from Germania and Pannonia, on the grounds their military service was not compensated like the Praetorian Guard. Evidently, these protests didn't make the impact they intended. Both uprisings on the Rhine and Pannonia were crushed by Drusus Julius Caesar, Germanicus, and cohorts of the Praetorian Guard. Though the issue of payment, power, and its corrupting influence would come to haunt Rome over successive dynasties. Being increasingly empowered bodyguards to the emperor comes with some caveats. The first being the brutal and, at points, literally bloody politics of ancient Rome. Though the history of ancient Rome tells us that trouble with the Praetorian Guard was a wholly self-created problem. Emperors were literally buying their loyalty with sums of money unheard of to Roman infantry. In time, this would play out to murderous effect, as the Guard could be bought to murder and install a new emperor. It's understood in 41 AD, Caligula was murdered by the Praetorian Guard for mocking the effeminate voice of one of them. More remarkably, they then pledged allegiance to his uncle Claudius, making him successor and emperor. Claudius is said to have understood the game he was in, nearly instantly handing each Guard member some 15,000 sesterti each. From then on out, every emperor till the Guard's dissolution handed the men huge sums of money in tribute out of little more than fear of them. Was this fear of the emperor's sworn guard warranted? Yeah, it really was. This emperor guarding unit gained as much of a track record murdering rulers as protecting them. The unit had simply become far too powerful. A guard of once 4,500 men looked closer to 15,000 in latter days. Come their curtain call in 312 AD, these corrupt cops of ancient Rome had a hand in killing as many as 13 emperors. Emperors believed killed, at least in part, or with the cooperation of the Guard include Commodus, Pupienus, Balbinus, and Caracalla. Emperor Galba definitely got it the worst though. With the support of the Guard, he captured the throne in 68 AD, only to be murdered by them for not paying them enough a year later. What does Praetorian mean in Latin? Bailiffs from hell? Though if you think murdering monarchs is living dangerously, the same elite unit constructed to protect emperors actually attempted to sell the Roman throne to the highest bidder in 193 AD. This was arguably the zenith for the Praetorian Guard's flagrant corruption. Though many would tell you the Guard was a prototype for secret police forces since then, there was nothing really secret about this unit. Their corruption was known and loathed by the Roman population, long living in fear of glorified bandits, infamous for their bribery, violence, and extortion. Emperor Constantine I burnt down Castra Praetoria, the barracks of the unit, outside the city center in 312 AD. The empire lost a burden as a once dream of an elite unit was dismantled in a blaze of infamy. I guess it shows you don't need late capitalism for money to corrupt the soul. Oh no, wait, that might be even worse. This is History on Fleek, and we'll see you next time.